A police officer pulls up on a deserted road near a ditch and finds a gruesome scene. An 8.5-month-along pregnant woman has taken her own life. However, did this woman actually take the life of her and her unborn child? Or was it a man of the law that murdered her in cold blood? Let's find out right now. Happy Terrifying Tuesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carencro, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and you are ready to hear a true crime story with yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are y'all drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20-30 minute walk, especially first thing in the morning, get those endorphins up, and you are going to have an amazing, wonderful day, I promise you. And as always, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this Tuesday evening while we talk about another true crime case. Jennifer Marie Webb, Jenny, as her family and friends called her, was born on April 12, 1979 in Bridgeport, Michigan, to her parents, Donald and Dawn Webb. Jenny was a 1997 graduate of Bridgeport High. She loved hunting, camping, and Michigan football. Everyone called Jenny the sparkle of the family as she had a very magnetic personality. Everyone loved Jenny. She always had a huge smile and was always ready to have a good time. Jenny was extremely independent as well. She had her own home, her own car, and when Jenny was 32 years old, she not only found out that she was going to have a baby, she found out when she was 5.5 months along. Yes, 5.5 months pregnant is when she found out she was going to have a beautiful baby boy that she decided to name Braxton. When Jenny told her family and friends, they all kind of looked at her and said, "Well, Jenny, you're not really seeing anyone. You don't really have a boyfriend. Who's the father of your child?" And there is a very good reason why Jenny was not telling people the father of her child. Only a limited amount of people knew who the father of Jenny's baby was. And yes, there is a reason for that, a very good reason. And that reason is he was married. A man named Ken was the father of Jenny Webb's baby. And Jenny was under the impression that Ken was separated and not living with his wife at the time. From what I gather, I believe that Jenny and Ken had a friends with benefits relationship. They just kind of hooked up once or twice a month and saw each other here and there. I know we all had those types of relationships. I know I have back in the day, and it's fun at the time. You're having fun, you're just doing your thing. But Jenny actually thought that Ken was separated from his wife. And a lot of Jenny's friends said that Jenny was not in love with Ken. She was not in love with him at all. She was just hooking up and having fun with him. However, Jenny was extremely excited about having this beautiful baby boy. She even had a baby shower for her sweet little boy, Braxton. And if she was this happy and this overjoyed about having a baby, why would she take her own life on August 30th, 2011? What happened on that day? On August 30th, 2011, Jenny Webb gets off of work and goes straight to her best friend's home as her best friend had just given birth to twin girls. Jenny went over to her best friend's home to help her take care of her twins. She couldn't stay long as she was meeting up with the father of her child to discuss child support and if they were going to put his name on the birth certificate. Remember, Ken was still married at the time. And I just wonder if Ken's wife was aware that Ken had gotten a girl pregnant while he was still married. Jenny planned to meet him that night around 9 o'clock. In the late hours of August 30th, 2011, Officer Kenneth BLUEW finds a deserted SUV on the side of the road near a ditch. Around the same time, Officer Tim Patterson pulls up and they find a deceased woman hanging from the luggage rack of her SUV. They go straight to the inside of the woman's vehicle, pull out her wallet, and Officer Kenneth BLUEW says, "OMG, I know this woman." He also finds a folded up suicide note. And inside the note, Jenny Webb explains how she lied about the father of her child, how his name was really Chris and she met him at a bar one night. And she's sorry for hurting everyone, but she couldn't afford to take care of herself or her baby. And this was the only way. And she wanted to take her own life. Now, as you know, I cover several cases and I research several cases every single day. It is very rare for someone to type up their suicide note. So that is red flag number 1, in my opinion. An officer contacts Jenny's family. When Jenny's mother receives the news, she says, "My daughter may be dead, but she did not take her own life, and she did not write this note." Jenny's mother, Dawn, read about a quarter of the suicide note and said, "My daughter did not write this," and gave it back to the officer. She said, "If my daughter would have taken her own life, we would have all got an individual letter and it would have been written in a blue, pink, green sparkle pen. Jenny would have not typed up a suicide note and left it in her purse." Her mother and her family and friends knew that Jennifer Webb did not take her own life on the night of August 30th, 2011. But what happened to Jenny? Detective Waterman arrives at the scene and speaks to Officer Tim Patterson and Officer Kenneth BLUEW. Officer Tim Patterson says to Detective Waterman that he came out here because Officer Kenneth BLUEW wasn't answering his radio and he became worried about him. And that is when they pulled up and found the body of Jenny Webb. All the police officers thought that Jenny Webb had taken her own life. But why? Jenny was so excited about the birth of her precious baby boy, Braxton. Why would she take the life of her baby boy? And just hours before this happened, she had told her best friend that she was going to be back the next day to help her once again take care of her twins. And another thing, it is very rare for a woman to take her own life by hanging herself. And why would Jenny drive to this deserted area on this deserted road and hang herself from her car luggage rack and, type up a note and put it in her purse? The whole thing just didn't seem right. However, it can happen. A person can feel at that point they want to take their own life and they just drive to wherever, type whatever note, and take their own life. It has happened in the past, but it is extremely rare. When Detective Waterman asks Jenny Webb's father, "Well, do you know who the father of Jenny's baby is?" He said, "Of course, it's your police officer, Officer Kenneth BLUEW." What? Jennifer Webb's baby's father is the same police officer that found her body. Detective Waterman was stunned, absolutely shocked, and sat down and said to himself, he murdered Jenny and staged the scene. He killed Jenny Webb. Everyone was shocked. Everyone knew that Kenneth BLUEW, the police officer that found Jenny's body, was the father of Jenny's unborn baby. Everyone knew that Jennifer Webb did not take her own life, including the police officers. Something wasn't right. And police officers knew that Jennifer Webb did not take her life on August 30th, 2011. Now, remember when I told y'all earlier that Officer Patterson had went to look for Officer Kenneth Blue because he wasn't answering his radio. He had went dark for about 2 hours. And when Officer Patterson found Officer Kenneth Blue, that is when they discovered the body of Jenny Webb. And the reason why Officer Tim Patterson went to that exact location is because he knew that's where Officer Kenneth Blue would go when he wanted to sleep on the job. And Officer Tim Patterson says when he arrived, he says that Officer Kenneth Blue was out of sorts, all sweaty and out of breath, and said, "I was just about to call you. Look what I found." And that is when Officer Tim Patterson said something didn't seem right. Something was off at that time. Detective Waterman looks at Jenny's phone and sees that she exchanged 3 phone calls with Officer Kenneth Blue and text messaging, and was planning to meet with Officer Kenneth Blue at 9 p.m. that night to discuss child support and if they were going to put his name on the birth certificate. And Detective Waterman knew that was Officer Kenneth Blue's phone number because he knew his phone number by heart. So Detective Waterman knew this was his police officer right here, that Jenny Webb was exchanging phone calls and text messages. The next day, the police officers are at the scene, and guess who arrives on the scene? None other than Officer Kenneth Blue. Why is he there on his day off? He is ordered to go back to the police station and wait there for an interview. While the cops are there, they find a cigarette lying on the ground, a necklace charm, and a blood spot. They also bring Jenny's and Officer Kenneth Blue's car for evidence. They want to see what they find in those 2 vehicles. Officer Kenneth Blue says he has been knowing Jenny Webb for about 10 years and would see her a couple of times a month. But he did not recognize her when he came up on the scene, when he saw the body of Jenny Webb, because her hair and makeup wasn't all done and she looked completely different. He said he did not recognize her when he first walked up and saw the body of Jenny Webb. During the interview with Officer Kenneth Blue, the detectives noticed several injuries on Officer Kenneth Blue's bodies, like scratches on his head, his arms, a Band-Aid on his index finger, and a cut under his eye. When the detectives asked Officer Kenneth Blue what happened, he says, "Oh, I was wrestling with my dog," which can happen. However, another police officer says that he had dinner that night with Officer Kenneth Blue, the same night that Jenny Webb's body was found. And that officer says he did not notice any of these injuries when he saw Officer Kenneth Blue that night. So where did he get these injuries? When the detective asked Officer Kenneth Blue if his DNA was going to be found underneath the fingernails of Jenny Webb's, he says, "Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's yes or it's no. What do you mean you don't know?" He has also asked several times if he has ever had sex with Jenny Webb. And several times, multiple times during the interview, he denies it and says, "I have never had sex with this woman." They also asked him, "Is there any way that you were the father of Jenny Webb's baby?" He said there was an absolute 0% chance that he is the father of Jenny Webb's baby, as he had never slept with her. They go on and on and on. They're interviewing him. He's denying everything. He is basically saying, "I found her body and this is what happened." Before he signs the letter to give up his DNA, he looks at the detectives and says, "You know, y'all, I did in fact have sex with Jennifer Webb." The way Jenny's body was found didn't look like she had taken her own life, and the evidence was piling up against Officer Kenneth Blue. And Jenny Webb had several bruises to her face, her chest, her hands, her arms, and her neck. And why is that? What happened to Jennifer Webb that night? Police believe Jennifer Webb was in a fight with someone, and the ligature marks found around her neck came post-mortem, meaning the electrical cord was placed around her neck after she passed away. And medical examiners believe that Jennifer Webb died from suffocation from a chokehold. And Officer Kenneth Blue was trained in these chokeholds, and he was actually a trainer himself. And ironically, the night of Jenny's death, he had his trainer's manual in his car, in his front seat, which was very unusual. Jennifer Webb's death is ruled a homicide. His blood and Jenny's blood was found at the crime scene. And remember that Band-Aid on Kenneth Blue's index finger? They found the tip of a latex glove at the crime scene, and it looks like Jennifer Webb bit Officer Kenneth Blue's finger. Her saliva was found on the tip of the latex glove. And Kenneth Blue's bloody handprint was found on the outside and inside of Jennifer's car. And the bloody imprint showed an injured finger on the bloody handprint. Police officers believe Officer Kenneth Blue killed Jennifer Webb by coming up behind her and choking her to death, then staged the crime scene. And when police officers searched Officer Kenneth Blue's home, they found similar extension cords like the one at the crime scene. They found a twist tie like he had untied it, and had internet searches on his computer like what's the best way to end your life, painless ways to end your life, and strangulation. There was so much evidence against Officer Kenneth Blue. And that suicide note that was found, not one of Jennifer Webb's fingerprints matched that letter. All 14 fingerprints match Officer Ken Blue. And that hurt index finger wasn't hurt when he typed that note. So that means this murder was premeditated. Officer Kenneth Blue is arrested on 4 counts, including first-degree murder and assault on a pregnant person intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. Officer Kenneth Blue went on trial, and after only 2 hours, the jury found him guilty on all counts. He is sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. And if it wasn't for Jennifer Webb, he wouldn't be where he is today. She was the best witness and left DNA evidence everywhere. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought is I 100% believe that Kenneth Blue took the life of Jennifer Webb as well as their unborn son, baby Braxton. I don't care what anyone says. I 100% believe that he is guilty. I also believe that Kenneth Blue is a wicked, evil monster. No one has the right to take the life of another person. And especially, you're going to take the life of the mother of your child and your child as well, your own child, your own flesh and blood that this woman is carrying for you. You're going to take that away? What kind of monster is he? He is a horrible man. And I hope he is sitting in jail thinking about what he did every single day, because what he did to the mother of his child is horrible. Why do so many men murder the mother of their child? I have seen and heard it several times. I have watched several cases. I've heard about it on the news. They want to get rid of the child. So what do? Kill the mother while she's pregnant with their baby. They not only care about her, but they don't care about their unborn child as well. How evil and twisted is that? It's horrible. And I wish people would stop doing that. That is not the answer. If you don't want to be a part of that child's life, sign your rights over and walk away. Just walk away. Do not take the life of another person because you don't want to take care of your child. That is not the right way to go. That is the very wrong route to go. My thoughts are with Jenny's family and friends, and I hope that she is resting in peace. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I hope that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. And as always, stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings, and always know that you can come to me. You can send me requests, or if you have any questions or just need someone to talk to. I will see y'all tomorrow night. Thank you all for the love and support. And for you, I am truly grateful. I love all of y'all, and I hope you'll have an amazing Tuesday evening. Bye.